From a Twitch streamer finding himself in Cyberpunk, to an underwater cat, and even a reference to the Matrix, today, y'all, we have 15 of the coolest Easter eggs, secrets, and references in Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I know 2020 has been a little bit rough on everybody, so I'm giving away 2 digital copies of Cyberpunk, and you can enter the giveaway by clicking the link at the top of the description, as well as, if you learn something new, please cyber zap that like button and subscribe with notifications on. So from the first time we saw Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077, I think we all knew in the back of our minds that some way and somewhere in this game, there's going to be an Easter egg referencing The Matrix, the movie that kind of put Keanu Reeves on the map back in the 90s. And yes, there actually is, and there's a couple of them. So the first one that we have, I came across in my apartment by just playing through the storyline. It's actually at the ending of the prologue, and you are actually asked to choose between a red pill and a blue pill. And this is at a point where we are actually introduced to Johnny Silverhand, so very fitting right there, with a nice reference to The Matrix. Now that's actually not it though, it gets a bit better. So at some point in the game, we actually play for a very short sequence as Johnny Silverhand to kind of understand his backstory, and while doing that, we're actually at a bar, and we're getting very drunk, and then at some point, we black out, and after a couple different blackouts, we are asked with the same question, left or right, the red or the blue pill, but this time we are playing as Johnny Silverhand. So it's an even cooler reference and Easter egg to The Matrix. All right, y'all, this next Easter egg is really cool. So in the 1993 movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone, in this movie, it takes place in the future, and in the future, toilet paper has been replaced with 3 seashells that can be seen right next to the toilet. So any fan of Sylvester Stallone or early 90s movies will notice this, because if you actually go into your own apartment and go into the bathroom where the toilet is and look, you can find right next to it 3 seashells. I thought this one was really cool because I know a lot of y'all playing this game might be youngsters, and well, I'm sure some of y'all back then didn't even know or even know now about this movie. Number 12, GLaDOS from Portal. So while we don't actually see GLaDOS in its former drone form, we hear a very familiar and eerily calming voice, and this can actually be found in a set of missions for Delamain. And this one in particular is the Coast View mission where we are recovering like rogue Delamain cars, and this one in particular actually has the voice of GLaDOS and also some very funny dialogue to go along with it.
Surprise. So I'll just give you a hint. I'm going to kill you and all the I honestly, truly didn't think you'd fall for that.
All right, now we have one of my favorite and probably the most popular Easter egg in Cyberpunk 2077 at this time, but it's our Easter egg of Hideo Kojima, who makes a physical cameo appearance in the game just under a little bit of a different name. So, in case you don't know, Hideo Kojima is the creator of the Metal Gear Solid series and Death Stranding, which we have an Easter egg from 2 a little bit later on in the video. So anyways, in Act 1, while prepping for a heist, you have to check in at a hotel, but after you do that, instead of going straight to your destination, you can explore. And in a corner, we can find Hideo, and it seems like he is the new Stan Lee of cameos and Easter eggs in video games, because Stan Lee in all the Marvel games or the movies can be seen making a cameo, and this is one of Hideo's many cameos now in video games, so it's pretty cool. All right, so for this next Easter egg, I don't know where it is in game, but it looks like it's obviously found in a shard somewhere, but I saw it on Twitter, and it's an Easter egg making fun of HalfLife 3. So in case you don't know, HalfLife 3 is a game that doesn't exist yet, but it's been rumored for like over a decade now. For years now, people have been talking about Half-Life 3 and wondering where it is. So we can see on this shard, instead of Half-Life 3, it says No Life 3 Review. After 50 long years, the wait is finally over. The same can be said for Cyberpunk, but that's just poking fun at the fact that Half-Life 3 does not exist. All right, moving on, we've got an Easter egg referencing one of CD Projekt Red's other games, The Witcher. So this one is really awesome. In The Witcher, the name that The Witcher gives to all his horses is Roach. And in Cyberpunk, we can actually find an 8-bit arcade game called Roach Race. That is a horse in 8-bit form, arcade machine form, with the Witcher soundtrack playing in the background. So that one is really neat right there. I love when game developers reference their other games in their new games. Next up, we have an Easter egg once again referencing CD Projekt Red's Witcher, and this one is a reference to Siri, one of the most beautiful video game characters of all time. And you can actually only see this Easter egg if you choose the corporate path or playstyle or whatever you refer to it as. So anyways, you see this in your main HQ. Inside of a desk, we can find a magazine with Siri on the cover. And no, like I said, we're not talking about Siri from the iPhone. How many Office fans do we have? Because this next Easter egg is actually a direct reference to The Office. And this one is so crazy because it just shows you the amount of detail in Cyberpunk. So to encounter this Easter egg, you've got to go to a bar where you encounter a random NPC by the name of Dennis. And from there, he tasks you with a mission of rescuing somebody. And upon rescuing somebody, that's where you get the Easter egg. And when you ask who this man is, his dialogue and everything he says is a line from The Office. And I'm not going to show that in this video to avoid any copyright issues, but I will link the episode and what it's referencing in just the small 20-second clip in the description.
So who is this guy?
He'll tell you his story. Hariyoshi?
In Japan, brain sergeant, top of all. Good instinct. One day, Tiger Claw boss needs surgery, but both die on table.
So the first Cyberpunk 2077 Easter egg to actually really happened before the game released today. And if you preloaded the game and you tried to actually play the game before it was time, you would be met with a message from Johnny Silverhands. Number 5, Cone Carnage. So this is actually a streamer and a YouTuber who is in Cyberpunk 2077, and it's pretty cool because he found himself in the game while on stream, and I guess he was a part of some event where you had a chance to be in the game and he didn't know if he was or wasn't, and he found himself. I think that's what happened, but either way, this is a normal guy like me or you who ended up in the game, and this one is pretty awesome because I think we would all love to be in a video game. I mean, imagine the bragging rights you would get. But anyways, when you come across this crazy man in the streets, this, my friends, is actually a streamer or a content creator, I should say. Moving on, while doing a side quest for River Ward called The Hunt, we actually see a really cool Easter egg referencing the bridge baby from Death Stranding, one of those games that Hideo Kojima actually created. And what this is a baby in an artificial uterus, and that's what happens in that game if you haven't played it. So it's really awesome to see that in this game, because in that game, I've always thought that that was a really just oddly weird thing. And I slow my words down and say it's so weird because it's weird that I'm saying that about a baby in a video game. Have y'all ever heard of the movie Blade Runner? Well, in Cyberpunk, we've got an Easter egg referencing Roy Batty from that movie. So this can actually be seen in the mission Map Tan Palin. I'm just pronouncing that just like it looks because I don't speak Creole or French or anything like that. But at this hotel, we can actually see that the logo and just design for it is actually inspired by Blade Runner's Roy Batty at the Batty Hotel, and it even features a very similar origami unicorn or just animal, just like in Blade Runner. This next Easter egg isn't all too special on the outside, but it's more or less kind of a reference. So in the Japantown district, there's a street named after Mike Pondsmith, the creator of the Cyberpunk universe. So if you ever come across Pondsmith Street, just know that the reason you are on Pondsmith Street is because the real life brain of Mike Pondsmith. And lastly, probably the coolest Easter egg of all is the underwater cat. It's also a very sad Easter egg. So if you actually go to this location right here, you can find underwater a car, a man and a cat. That's right, just a cat. So if you actually loot the man, not only are you going to find some very valuable items, but you're going to find a note, and it seems to be a log from the night before. This man was drunk. He drove, that's why you don't drink and drive, but into the water, but he had won a cat, and his wife or his girl was just not having it. So anyways, those are 15 Easter eggs in Cyberpunk 2077. We've got more to come. I know it. This game is huge. So if y'all enjoyed, please click thumbs up. Let's go for 4,000 likes. Enter the giveaway if you want. Subscribe with notifications on. And I hope to catch y'all on the flip side.